Hello, friends of Harmony in Dementia. Tara here. I am answering questions for World Music Therapy Week that were submitted on my social media. So I want to thank you all for submitting your questions. Some of them have been answered in posts, and then some of them are answered in this video series. So the third question that I wanted to answer here today is, what do I love most about my job? And for me, it's hard to narrow it down to one thing. It really took me a minute to think this through. But for me, I think what I love most about what I do is the meaningful connections that are made through music. So I see a lot of individuals, primarily who are living with dementia in different stages on their journey. And so watching them connect to a song that can bring back a specific memory or moment or experience in time for them is really powerful, and something that I enjoy being able to help them make that connection when they're visiting with family or friends, and music is able to bridge that gap for a visit, and they're able to have a meaningful visit and a meaningful conversation, or maybe there's no words at all, but they're able to meaningfully connect in that moment with the music. That is super powerful for me, as well as an individual who maybe hears a song that they haven't heard in 20 years and immediately they start singing and they know all the words to the chorus, or they know all the words to the entire song. There are so many moments in my work where I get to see how meaningful music can be with folks living with dementia, but also their carers, and being able to share in that relationship and foster those connections as that relationship changes. So there's so much there, but I would say the meaningful connections is really one of the things I love most about my job. And I wanted to leave you with a story, an experience from my clinical work that goes back to my internship. So, this was 16 years ago. I was a very green music therapist to be, finishing my coursework and my 1,200 hours of clinical training in this internship at a nursing home. And I worked with an individual who was diagnosed with dementia, had some other mental health diagnoses, and was blind. And so we worked a lot together, playing instruments, singing, laughing, having a good time. Our rapport was very strong, and he greatly benefited from music therapy services since he was in his room quite a bit. And there was one session I came in, he's very upset, very frustrated. I'm not entirely sure what happened before I got there, but it was clear that he was upset, and we didn't get very far into the session, and he started yelling at me, threw some instruments towards me, and eventually asked me to leave. And so I did, I did what I felt I could do in that moment to support him, and I respected what he asked of me. And when I went back for that next visit, I started just as we always did. There was no need to address what had happened, and I just kind of wanted to gauge where he was at and do a lot of assessing in the moment. And he stopped me mid-song and said that he wanted to apologize. He felt awful about what had happened during our last session and really felt the need to say something to me about it. And I was so taken aback. It took me a minute, but I so greatly appreciated his words and what he said, and that his recall was there to be aware of what had transpired. And I told him, we all have those moments, and we were able to process it, and we were able to continue on because of the rapport and the connections, the meaningful connections that we had made up to that point. So for me, that's really what it's all about. It's about building those relationships, building that rapport, and making those meaningful connections with music. I hope you have enjoyed this short video series on questions and answers for World Music Therapy Week. Thanks so much for submitting your questions, and I'll talk to you soon.